How does Social Security work when your spouse passes away? Hi, I'm Garrett Ray, financial planner here at the Wealth Guardians and the Ray Financial Group.
And I'm Brice Payne, and you've entered The Vault, the Wealth Guardians video series on all things pertaining to retirement planning. In this episode, we're going to talk about survivor benefits when it comes to Social Security. We're going to talk about what percentage you might be able to collect in survivor benefits, how you switch to survivor benefits, how you qualify for survivor benefits, how remarried might impact those benefits, and how filing early might impact those benefits. I'm always going to bring your attention to those like and subscribe buttons down below the screen there. Go ahead and click on those if you want to catch future episodes of The Vault with Doug, Garrett, and myself. And let's go ahead and get started on this episode, Garrett. A lot of people don't even realize survivor benefits when it comes to Social Security is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's, let's say that you were a person who was a homemaker and you didn't have much by way of a working history, but your spouse worked a 40-year career. That person has now deceased. Can you get any sort of benefit as a survivor? Yes, you can.
Okay.
The natural question is, well, would I get 100% of what my spouse was either getting or was entitled to get if he or she had filed? And the answer is yes, but it depends on what age you are when you file the claim. Okay. So what Social Security has is something called a quote unquote full retirement age. That full retirement age that Social Security has for you is based on your birth year.
Right.
Okay. So for a couple quick ones, if you were born in 1958, your full retirement age is 66 and 8 months. If you were born in 1959, your full retirement age is 66 and 10 months. And for those of us who were born in 1960 or later, it's one big bracket. Everyone's full retirement age is 67. So if you do have a spouse who has now deceased and they were entitled to receive benefits or they were receiving benefits when they passed away, and you have reached your full retirement age, you being the survivor, not the spouse that passed, you being the survivor, then yes, you can collect up to 100% of what your spouse was receiving.
Okay, very good. That's a nice even round number. I think we can remember that.
Yep.
How does one qualify for survivor benefits?
Yeah, so let's talk about how you can actually qualify to even get this survivor benefit. Well, the survivor, you yourself have to be at least 60 years old.
Okay.
And you have to have been in a legal marriage for at least 9 months.
Okay.
Seems rational.
Yep.
Okay. Now, can you qualify earlier than 60? Yes, you can, but you, the survivor, have to have a disability that occurred within 7 years of the spouse's death. And at that point, you can file as early as age 50 or anywhere in your 50s if you, the survivor, have a disability. There is one other caveat. Let's say that you, as the surviving spouse, are the primary caretaker of children under the age of 16 as a result of that marriage from the spouse that deceased. If that is the case, then you can apply at any age. Now, there's some limitations on to how much you're going to receive, but we'll get there in a moment.
Yeah, a lot of math involved in that. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of understanding of how you qualify for survivor benefits, talk to us, Garrett, about how you switch to survivor benefits.
Yeah. So let's say that you were a situation, I'm going to go back to the person who was just a homemaker, had no working history of their own. And let's say they were on spousal benefits. So that means that they were getting some benefit off of their spouse. At that point, he or she was still alive, and this person has now passed away.
Okay.
In most cases, so long as that death is registered, there's a death certificate generated, you're going to automatically switch to survivor benefits if you're eligible.
In theory, anyway.
In theory. Unfortunately, we know that the government and Social Security isn't always batting 1,000. So if you find that on your statement that you do not qualify for survivor benefits, unfortunately, that's going to have to prompt a call to the Social Security Administration. You're going to need that death certificate, but you can file a claim individually. You always have that as a last resort.
Yeah, they just, if you think that your benefit should go up and the next month it's still the same benefit, give them a call.
Give them a call.
Unfortunately, they don't pick up the phone very easily. You got to call at 8 a.m. and be on hold for a while. But it is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So then if that's how one switches, it's supposed to, in theory, happen automatically. What about remarrying? If you remarried after your spouse passes, does that impact your benefits?
I'm going to say in most cases, yes. Here's the cutoff though. So if you remarried after your first spouse passed away, but you remarried before you turned the age of 60. So the surviving spouse finds someone else, they remarry before they're 60, you cannot draw survivor benefits in that case. However, let's say that you found new love after the age of 60. Then you can marry this new person in your life and still claim survivor benefits off of your deceased spouse.
Okay.
Not sure how often that applies.
Right.
Marriage, in 60s and later. But if that is you out there, then yes, you do qualify for survivor benefits off the original spouse that is now deceased.
Okay. Very good. That makes sense. So there's a lot of calculations that always go into Social Security. So here's a calculations question for you, Garrett.
Okay.
How does filing early impact survivor benefits?
Okay. So we established that if you, the survivor, have reached your full retirement age,
Okay.
you get 100% of what your spouse was getting, right?
Right.
What if you file early?
Okay.
Let's say that your full retirement age as the survivor is 67,
Okay.
but you file, let's say, age 60, okay? Because 60 is the earliest that you can file.
Okay.
If that is the case, your benefit will be 71.5% of what your deceased spouse was eligible to get or was receiving at the time. Now, that goes all the way up to 99% up until full retirement age of what you reach 100%.
That's a graduated kind of.
It's a graduated calculation. Obviously, the longer that you wait closer to full retirement age, the more percentage you get.
Okay. Makes sense.
Now, let's say you're the person out there who can file as early as age 50 because you, the survivor, have a disability. What is your percentage? That is a flat 71.5% if you file anywhere in your 50s due to disability. Okay. What about the third special case where you are the primary caretaker of a child or children under the age of 16 as a result of the marriage from the deceased spouse? In that case, you will receive 75% of your spouse's benefit, but it opens up regardless of any age. So in this case, you could have a young woman who's in her mid-30s. They have young children. She could file for 75% of her deceased spouse's benefit.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
Garrett, we're with the Wealth Guardians, we're certified with the National Social Security Association, but those graduated tables is one thing that I've never bothered to memorize.
Yes.
I just look at the chart every time. I'm not going to memorize them.
Yeah. And we're going
so many different percentages.
We're going to reference the chart too if we had a real person or a real client in front of us. But just for general information, folks, we did want to give you, what a survivor benefit is, how you can qualify for it, and get an idea anyway of what you may be eligible for based on your situation.
Very good. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Vault. Hope you learned something there. Once again, like and subscribe buttons below the screen there. Click on those if you want to catch future episodes of The Vault with Doug, Garrett, and myself. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. I'm Brice Payne.
And I'm Garrett Ray.
And this has been The Vault. Hey, it's Brice Payne with the Wealth Guardians. Thanks for watching our weekly series, The Vault. Do you know we also have a weekly radio show where we discuss all things retirement? You can listen to the Wealth Guardians radio show live on 94.5 WPTI in the Triad on Saturday mornings. But if you miss the live broadcast, you can also catch it on our YouTube channel or find us on your favorite podcast platform each Saturday morning. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you can get notifications when we release new episodes. Want you to remember, good retirement plans do not create themselves. We'll talk to you soon.